some response. Yeah. You know, I think this government summit differs from the rest of the GovCon conferences that take place every day in this community. I think in GovCon, we not only talk about business, but we share in each other's successes and the lessons learned from each of our struggles. I heard Rocky say that in this difficult year with Doge and shutdown and everything, the Iron Big members won $5 billion worth of new business. That's a tremendous achievement. Can we give all of us a big congratulations? I talked about my life journey to Iron Big members about 2 months back. So when Sandesh told me I'll be speaking today, I really struggled with what I'm going to talk about since I already spoke everything I meant. So today I'm going to talk a little about the business journey of Attain, going from a small business, zero in revenue, to 250 billion, and what are the different things, something different that we might have done that helped us succeed. When I think of GovCon and a company starting up and then going to maturity, I think one way to think about it is 3 milestones. First is 0 to 30 million. Next is the small business to large business cliff. And then how do you sustain a large business and grow further? I think the activities that you do in each of these phases is different, but you have to plan all along for all the 3 phases. You can't be like, okay, I will become 30 million and then think about the small business to large business cliff. Or I'll become a large business and then think about how to sustain it. You have to think of it all along. And that's what I think we did at Attain. I started my career with KPMG and then went on to work in Unisys. So I had experience only 2 large companies. And then getting into the startup mode with the GovCon was really a lesson learned and failed initially a lot. So let me talk about what I learned in KPMG. KPMG taught me a very valuable lesson. It was being obsessed with the success of your clients and of your people. And I use the word obsess very diligently. You have to really think about how are my people going to succeed and how are my clients going to succeed. Unisys, being a public company, taught me the benefit of discipline, how hard you have to work and how disciplined you have to be. It was a 12-week treadmill, I call it, in order to achieve our earnings per share. So Unisys taught me discipline, KPMG taught me about clients and people. And when I look back, I think these were the things that helped us in Attain to do. So let me talk a little about Attain and what happened. When we started Attain, we didn't start from zero. We actually acquired assets from a company called Bearing Point that had filed for bankruptcy. And we acquired assets which had a run rate of about $40 million. So when you think of us, we were $40 million on day one. We had a loan on our head, which we used to acquire the assets and some of our own investments. After 1 year, one of our big contracts, those assets were not federal assets, but commercial business assets. And one of our contracts was very big, it was about 27 million. The contract got cancelled after 1 year. Come to second year, another $5 million, contract was over. So after 2 years, if you looked at us, we had about 10 million in revenue, a loan on our heads of 12 million, and we had infrastructure that was sized up for a much bigger company of 50 or 60 million. And that's where we sat. So I looked at myself and said, I used to think I'm fairly successful. I was one of the youngest partners at KPMG, ran 16 countries for Unisys, and here we were, like making a loss, almost bankrupt because of the bank loan, and don't know what to do. Everything misfired. I think a lot of people don't know that when Attains started, its first name was Eklar, and people used to joke with us and call us Eclair, and used to consider us a pastry shop. So, that's where we found ourselves after 2 years. So all of you who got dodged, I call it, in the current year, I can relate to you. We lost 80% of our business, had a loan, and so on. And it's happened to some people that lost a lot of your contracts in Doge. So we have to, step back and think about what is it we are doing. So we did what everyone told us we should do as startup. We went and hired some brand-building PEs, and we thought we were making an investment in our business. So we hired a couple of name brand PEs and said, we are going to grow now. We got it. It didn't work out. Because you know what those PEs told us? You don't have past performance. We started focusing on treasury. You don't have past performance, you don't have contract vehicles, there's nothing you can do. So those guys were good guys. They went somewhere else and are successful, but it didn't work for us. So we stepped back and said, okay, what are we going to do? What have we learned in all our careers? And what we learned was, we really need to know what we want to be. We were just going and bidding on things and losing. And we didn't have much, we were subbing to big people and so on. So we had to think what we wanted to do, what was our purpose, what do we really believe in, what is it that we think we can do different and do better than others, and how do we build a scalable business that will really mean something. Do we want to be a small business or more than that? So we created a roadmap. 0 to 30 million, this is how we get there, this is what we will do. These are the activities that get us there. But let's plan on what we do beyond that. And what will we do after what comes next. So we sat and had these discussions, built all these things. In the reflection, we came up with 3 guiding principles. First was, be built to last. What does built to last mean? That the paradigms or the solutions or what the market requires will continue to change. But we have to outlive them and build an ecosystem that understands what's going to happen next, and we will be there first. Right? We have to have a system by which we don't go outside and hire people, but we grow from within our company. So how do we coach, mentor, and train our people? Second was, we are going to be values driven. So we did a project called HedgeHog, where we went and interviewed many large companies from GE to so on. And everyone said, we have a set of core values. But those core values didn't transform into the attributes that are required to win new business or become an enduring company. So we looked at what are the attributes by which we will win business, will become an enduring brand. And we wanted to be values driven. And the third guiding principle we set is NextGen. What NextGen meant is we will reinvent and change our clients to think about what what comes next, and what the forward-looking solutions are to solve their business problem. So 3 things: build to last, values-driven, and next gen. And that formed the basis of how we against the big players when we were 20 million and 10 million in revenue, because we took more risk than them. And a lot of the big players here, like GDIT, Accenture, are public companies and they can't take those risks. As public companies, they're not allowed to do certain things. And we looked at those things and we talked to our clients about them and put them in our proposals. So I don't know of any other way by which a $10 million company can beat the big business, because they have more past performance, they have more resources, they have access to more key personnel. How we can beat them without taking risks? So that was a great value. So our values were based on how we were going to grow our business. One other value was take care of your people irrespective of financial cost. A very relevant thing I'll tell you, during our time we had a 35-day shutdown. We paid every employee their full salary for those 35 days. No exceptions. Right? When you do things like that, the emotional commitment that you get from people, the ownership of outcomes that you get from people propels your business. Right? I'll give you more examples. Like I had a head of healthcare. Her husband had cancer and was really in the end stages of life. We gave her 1 year vacation and paid her a full salary. And I ran our business while she did that. Right? So those are things, I don't have time, but I could tell you many stories of financial cost. But what that gives you, it repays you back many times. I would say 10 or 20 times more when you invest like this. I think life is unpredictable. And if your people think that when those incidents in life hit you, and you as a company will be there for them, right? It creates a different amount of loyalty and trust in the company. So that was one value. Another value was invent the future, which meant we are going to work with our clients in changing them, right? So those were some of our core values. The next thing is, how do you look at your company and hire the best? How do you build a scalable model? What that means is, if we went and hired 2 BDs today, and because of that, we were able to bid on, let's say, 10 opportunities. Tomorrow, if I want to bid on 20 opportunities, I have to hire more BDs and have more overhead or GLA. That's not a scalable model. In a large business, you can have function-driven business. You can have BDs doing one thing, you can have finance doing one thing, and so on. But in a small business, you need about 60% of your people to be involved in sales and delivery and everything. You can't have only a few people doing sales. So how do you build that? Right? So we created competencies and career tracks in which when a person started with a company, let's say they were right out of the college, then we said you have to participate in a proposal. As you became a manager, you have to lead a proposal and participate in a capture. And as you went further, you have to lead captures. So in about 5 years, we had 60-70% of the company involved in our sales. And we hired BDs too, but we had the whole company and culture created in such a way that people were looking to get promoted, contribute to the company, and so on. We did an orientation where people call it kind of, HR does an orientation, 1 day. We did a 2-day orientation, which me and my partner, who's supposed to be here but is not regularly, we both led that 2-day orientation ourselves and didn't call it orientation but called it cultural assimilation. How do you become a part of a company? Because we were different. We were doing things differently. We were not hiring and firing people with each contract. So those were some of the things that we did differently. The other thing is a person that going to succeed in company A is not going to succeed in another company. So you have to look at your company and see who are the people that are going to be successful in your company. In our company, we looked at people and said, who are the people that can live our core values and have the attributes? So when we said, invent the future was a core value, in our interviews, we looked at people who can do out-of-box thinking. When we said be bold, we looked at people who were risk takers. So we interviewed for those attributes. We hired beauty students. We looked at people who had relationship with the clients we were targeting, because it takes a lot of time to build relationships. So when we had the attributes mapped to our core values, and we had relationships with clients, we built a world-class team, right? So one of the best things that we did was get the right people on the team, get the people on the right seat, and that seat changes as you grow, and get the wrong people out of it. There's always an excuse why we can't fire people and get the wrong people out of the company. But you got to do it once you identify the person doesn't fit. Anyway, I think those were the things that propelled Attain to organically grow in a short time to 250 million. And since we did high margin work, we got a very good value as a multiple of our revenue when we exited. Let me spend 2 more minutes, since my time is up, on the current environment. My heart goes out to people who suffered because of Doge and so on. But I don't think Doge as, it was a difficult thing, it still is, but I think it's a tremendous opportunity. Because what is it that the federal government is saying right now? It's saying we want to reduce costs, we want to increase efficiency, we want to reduce debt, and we want to continue to be a global leader. If I ask all the GovCons here, what is your value proposition to the client? Isn't that what you are in GovCon to do? To increase efficiency and reduce cost. So the government is aligned with you. And I think in 2 or 3 years, the government budget is going to increase. Like, recently RFP came out for the dome or whatever we call it, for what, 150 billion. I don't think that's a 150 billion initiative, that's a $1 trillion initiative. The abundance of government spending that's going to happen is insane in 2 or 3 years. Maybe the behaviors and the way it's being done is wrong, but GovCon, you got to use this time to position for what's going to happen in the future. It's just a business cycle that went a little down. This is time to focus and get it done. So what would I do? I would make sure my company has an R&D budget, right? And invest in frameworks and tools that make the government more efficient and reduce costs, whether it's through AI or whatever. Don't be a me-too tool. Look at where you can focus and develop and maintain that. And those tools, AI is progressing very fast. From agentic AI, it's on to neural networks, to deep learning and so on. So your tools will have to reinvent themselves every 6 months. So you've got to have an R&D budget and do that and take it to your clients. Right? Second, look at OTAs. Today, OTAs are more product-based, But the spending of them has more than tripled this year. And it's going to go going to continue that trend, and now labor-based contracts are being done as well. So focus on that. I will do R&D budget, I will create frameworks and tools, I will focus